I'm not saying that Kawhi is a bad leader, but I'm just saying that you guys both responded like it was the most absurd thing to say in the world. Like Greg Popovich.
And can we
Greg
quote
Popovich
you real
himself,
quick?
Greg Popovich, the man himself, said that he wasn't a leader when he was in San Antonio.
Right.
So Kawhi,
a little salty, maybe.
That possibly had something to do with it. But Greg Popovich is not a guy that anyone sees as
Popovich is a great leader, and but great leaders are sometimes wrong. And
True.
Popovich was wrong on Kawhi, and the way he handled it was wrong.
True.
Let me talk about Kawhi for a second in leadership. If you are a leader through example in terms of your work ethic, both sides of the floor, like if you have a kind of leader, he may not be a Tim Duncan leader. Just because they're both quiet, they're both from the Spurs, doesn't mean that they both share same leadership qualities. Or a Bill Russell-style leader, or a more kind of vocal leader. He may not be that. But if you're the kind of guy who your teammates, when the chips are down, look back at you and go, he's on our team, that means we're going to win. If you're the kind of guy who shows up every day for practice and goes about your business the right way, if you're the kind of guy who says, who's the best offensive player on the other team? Not only am I going to carry our offense efficiently, but I want to guard one-on-one the monster on the other team and show everybody how it's done. That's leadership. And that's great leadership. Not every leader has the same.
No, I agree wholeheartedly, but it feels to me like, and I'm not saying that he's not a great leader. I'm not in a locker room with him. It's hard for us, anyone who's not in a locker room, who's not there every day, it's hard for us to really evaluate how someone leads because we always just fall back on like, was he yelling on the court? And that's nonsense. That doesn't mean you're a leader or you're not a leader. Yeah. So it's hard for us to say. I'm just saying, let's not brush over this because it seems like on his championship teams, we always point out he's won on 2 different teams, which is incredible. He's won championship
finals.
and MVP. It is incredible. No one at this table is going to look at me and say that he was a leader on the Spurs team. All the things that you said.
Well, he's a baby.
The Spurs would argue that he didn't show up every day wanting to work.
He was a baby.
Right. I mean, late in his career, before he left, they said that he didn't want to show up to work.
Well, they were bad mouthing.
He had issues with them. So I'm just
he was hurt. They were bad mouthing. He was protecting the rest of his career.
Okay, if you have respect for a leader on your team, if he goes out and he looks you in the eye and says,
not the leader of the Spurs.
This is exactly.
So
we're pointing to that. And so the only incident that you have of him being a leader is this last season.
Wait,
he got dropped into.
Wait. Do you mean the only incident I have of him?
Championship?
Wait. Is to be dropped? Is to be dropped on a team,
leadership,
and carry the load offensively and defensively,
and
then have one of the great playoffs of all time, and win a championship.
That's being a great player. Again, I'm not arguing that he's a bad leader because I'm not in the locker room, but I'm saying you're evident.
Let me finish. Work, ready to do your job day in and day out does mark a good leader.
Your evidence of him being a good leader is that he played really well on the court. That is not the same thing as being a leader. He shut down people defensively and he scored a lot of points. Does not make you a good leader. Would you argue that the way that Kobe Bryant led those teams, would you argue that it was good leadership? He was always
Kobe had to become a good leader.
Sometimes no.
Kobe had to learn
exactly.
it. So let me check this. Check this out though. I was privileged to cover the NBA last year, played my time in the NBA 10 plus years. I played on some extremely talented squads with guys that were supposed to be leaders. They weren't leaders. Well, guess what? Even from the public eye, if you took a good look at the body language of the role players and the guys on the court or even the other stars, they didn't fit. There was dysfunction, lack of leadership. I played on squads like in Boston with great leaderships. Garnett, Pierce, Ray Allen, whatever beefs we may have had or things that happened on the court, you saw good leadership. And guess where it showed? On the court. Those little things are hard to hide, bro. If you look at that Toronto squad last year, if you look at Toronto, they were fine-tuned, they played together, and they believed in each other. And it was bigger than Nick Nurse, Don.
And then he led Paul George to L.A., by the way.
Golly, that's not leadership.
That's leadership. But the thing is that you guys are pointing to this, had Kevin Durant stayed healthy, had all these things changed, and the Warriors likely would have won.
Sure.
You guys would not be talking about him in the same way. That's the only point I'm making.
I would be.
You would still be saying that he's a great leader. What evidence would you point to? The only evidence you're pointing to of him being a great leader is what happened last year.
When you say great player,
which we're also saying was contingent upon some other variables.
When you say great player, Kawhi particularly, the way he plays and what he's about indicates a level of leadership by example. I'll explain what I mean. Kevin Durant tried to reverse engineer, as it were, his greatness because he knew he's one of the greatest players ever, one of the best players ever, but no championship.
Absolutely.
So he joined a situation where you couldn't not win the championship, right? That doesn't really prove anything. Kawhi Leonard could have gone to the Lakers, right, and joined AD and LeBron, and no one could have possibly beaten that team. What he preferred was proving, in fact, that you just give me a fighting chance and I can win. With Toronto last year, and this is through every series, there was no other great player on his team, but he faced squads with multiple special kinds of players, like Philadelphia, with an unstoppable MVP like Giannis. And it was always, no matter what the circumstances were, you could see that his teammates felt, we have Kawhi, we're going to be okay. And he never lost that attitude. That's leadership.
So that's not leadership. That's playing really well and people having faith in you, which is like, you can't drop in.
No, it's leading by example.
Again. So it's you guys waited for him to win the championship, which he deserved, and he was great, and you're trying to say that has something to do with leadership when it doesn't. We don't know that it does or doesn't is the only point I'm making. He was a lights-out player in the playoffs. That's what gave them confidence. It didn't give him confidence because he was...
Check this out, though. Look at the situation of Kawhi Leonard. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to go to Toronto. It was a poor situation. He had every reason to pout, complain, shoot shots back at San Antonio. Mm-hmm. He just went to work quietly. Look at that locker room. It would be easily for Kyle Lowry, a good friend of mine, a guy who keeps it as real as can be, that would have said, man, I'm off this Kawhi guy. He did everything he could to put his arm around Kawhi, believe in what he was doing. That's real. That's real.
That's
but
beautiful. I'm happy for Kawhi. He did the right thing. That's not leadership.
Why do you think Kyle Lowry was
doing the right thing? It's not leadership.
Why do you think Kyle Lowry, for the first time in the playoffs, was good under pressure in the finals?
I don't know. You won't expect me to psychoanalyze a man. That was what you guys are.
But introduce the variables. All kinds of variables have changed in Kyle Lowry's career, and then Kawhi showed up and it changed. Why is that?
I would argue that you could ask Kyle Lowry, and he's not going to say that all of a sudden I played better because Kawhi led me to. Like,
it doesn't matter.
It
doesn't matter what he says. You can see the evidence.
Thank you so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.